Welcome to another Adobe Flash video tutorial. During this particular tutorial we are going to set up our stage so that we can move our text as well as our shape from outside of the stage and into the stage. So we're going to begin to animate our banner. And so we have to do a couple of things. We do have to set up the keyframe for the background so that the background is visible throughout the entire movie, and that the shapes actually come in and out of this stage. Okay, so this is what we're going to want to do. So let me go ahead and share with you here one that I've previously set up. So we're going to actually set up our background time frame for the entire duration, and then our shape and our text are the ones that are going to be having the motion throughout our banner. Okay, all right, so let me go over to our stage here, our file. That should just have these elements here at this point. Okay, so what we're going to do first is go to our background layer, because what we need to do is set up our background to appear throughout the entire duration of the movie. So you can determine how long that's going to be. In the instruction I've said that we're going to actually have that available for roughly about 24 frames. So you're going to go ahead and put or select your under number 24, just select that particular frame under your background layer. Once you select it, all you have to do up at the top is simply go to Insert, Timeline, and Keyframe. And by doing this, you're basically telling Flash that you want this particular background to become available throughout this entire section. So you're going to Insert, Timeline, and Keyframe. Okay, you're going to notice that it is going to put kind of like a bounding box around this little area here. Notice too that the circle that's available down here at the bottom, this is actually a symbol letting you know that there is nothing on this layer. Remember that we used the stage as our background, so we didn't actually have to fill it with a shape, and which is why it's empty, and why our other keyframes here, while these here are full with a black dark circle, they do have items. For example, we put in a shape on one of them and then text on another. Okay, but so far all we've done is just set up the background to be visible for 24 frames here. Remember that we did switch our frame setting to be 12 frames per second, so any shape that we add, when we start actually animating, we add a motion tween, it will default to 12 frames per second, because that's what we set this to be. But our background, we want that to be visible for 24 frames per second. Basically translates into whatever you animate within the time that you play this movie. If it's 24 frames per second, if it's 24 frames that we have visible at 12 frames per second, that means that your movie is 2 seconds long. Okay. Alright, next what we're going to do is come over to our shape. Let's go by simply clicking here on the first frame. I was able to bring the playback button here back to frame number 1, which is why you now see my text in my oval again. So we came back to shapes. And what we're going to do with our shape here is move it off the stage. So I have to zoom out. So you can come up here to the top and type in 100, and it makes it a lot smaller so that we can go ahead and on frame 1, we want to put our oval off of the stage, because the idea is that it's going to move onto the stage as we move through the movie. So moving that off the stage, if I come get my text, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to move my text off the stage. Okay, so now everything is off the stage. So for my shapes, in order to create the motion, you're now familiar with creating motion on your shapes. Remember, we did turn this into a symbol, and so if you haven't, you want to go ahead and in order to use the motion tween, you do have to have symbols. So we're going to go ahead and select our shape here, come up to Modify, Convert to Symbol, and title this one Oval. Click on OK, and this turns into a symbol. We're going to go ahead and go to our text, Power Up, go to Modify, Convert to Symbol, and I'm just going to call this one Text, and click OK. Now both of our items are symbols, which we can now animate using the tween motion feature. So let's go ahead and go back to our shapes layer down here at the bottom. So make sure you select that. So we're going to start with the shapes. Make sure you're on frame number 1. And make sure you've selected your actual graphic here, your oval. Now we're going to go up to the top. We're going to go to Insert Motion Tween. By default, it's only going to set it to 12 frames. Remember, again, it does that because we set at the very beginning that our document was going to be set to 12 frames per second. And that's what we want here. So now we have it set to 12 frames per second. So you can see it runs from frame 1 all the way to frame 12. So frame 1, the position is at the beginning stage where it's located right now. Frame 12, we want this to appear here at this section of the screen. Feel free to select where you would like for that to appear, but make sure it appears somewhere on the stage. So now our shape there is ready to go. Let's come over to your text layer. Once again, make sure you select frame 1. You'll see that right now there is no text visible because we're on frame. Our playback head here is on frame 12, but once we click on frame 1, you'll see our text popped up here at the top. Alright, so what we need to do once again is have our power up selected. We should be on frame 1 of layer text. Okay, so let's come up here to the top, Insert Motion Tween. Again, by default, it creates this motion space for 12 frames because we set this to 12 frames per second. So we're at the beginning here where we were. This is the beginning stage or the beginning position where the playhead bar menu is here on frame 12. Where do we want the text to end? So I'm going to go ahead and drag this down onto my stage here and put it where I'd like for it to appear on frame 12. Alright, so let's go ahead and zoom in here and just our screen, and we're going to go ahead and move this playhead button so we can see the animation. Okay, so for frames 1 through 12, you saw how that was animated on the banner. If we were to continue off of frame 12 and onto frame 13, you're going to notice that both your text and your shape disappeared because on frames 13 and beyond, we do not have the object visible. When you can see that there is nothing on from frames 13 and on for your shapes or your text. But your background continues to be visible because we set the background to be available all the way through frame 24. Okay, so that's the difference in how you set your frames and whether or not you want those to be visible. If we wanted these sections here to be visible, we certainly could come back in here and make a selection here and then add a keyframe to be able to make it visible just like we did with the background.